This page is the front cover of the mag, and it's screaming about Diddy Kong Racing being a Mario Kart killer. Bit strong that, isn't it? Diddy Kong Racing was decent enough, mind you, but killer? Bit much. It's got a big 7-page exclusive on it, so they're really pushing that one. There's also a first look at Weetrix, which, was another puzzle game for the N64 newest puzzler, they say, as if there were loads of them. Then GoldenEye 007 gets a mention. Seems Bond is hitting the us, and they've got 4 pages of stunt-packed action. Always good to see more on GoldenEye, must admit. There's also something about a general election, but it's for the Golden Joystick Awards, not actual politics, thank goodness. You could win a grand and a mega telly, which back then was a big deal. Oh, and a multi-racing championship driver's guide. Might be useful for someone, I suppose. Down at the bottom it mentions a few other games in the plus section, including Quarterback Club 98, Legend of Zelda 64 Ocarina of Time, obviously Yoshi's Story, Tetrasphere, Hexen 64, and F-Zero 64. So, a good mix of stuff in this issue, covering the big hitters and a few of the maybe not big hitters. October 97, blimey, that's going back a bit. £2.50 it cost too. Those were the days. The next page is a full-page advert for MRC, or Multi-Racing Championship, right in your face, isn't it? They're shouting about 8 high-performance, fully customizable vehicles, and true 64-bit visual detail. Yeah, well, everyone was banging on about 64-bit visuals back then. It also mentions on and off road terrain, and alternative routes on every course, which sounds alright I suppose if you were into that sort of thing. It's got a big MRC logo, a gold bar saying Multi-Racing Championship, and then internal combustion engine at the bottom. Bit dramatic, isn't it? Just another racer for the N64 pile, really. Genki and Imagineer are credited, and of course Nintendo and Nintendo 64 trademarks are there. Standard stuff for the time. This page is another blast of MRC, still going on about it from the last page. Big picture of some geezer yelling his head off, proper 90s style. They've got the game screenshots scattered about again, showing off the cars and the tracks, all that jazz. Ocean, Imagineer, and Nintendo 64 logos are plastered at the bottom, can't miss them, can you? It's just hammering home that it's MRC for the N64, in case you hadn't got the message by now. This page is all about Diddy Kong Racing, looks like they're giving it a right good go in this issue. Big splash page with good old Diddy Kong, and that frog fella, Pipsy I think his name is, in their karts. Game looks proper bright and colourful from the screenshots at the top. Typical N64 goodness, showing off the racing and the timer and all that. Says page 28, so we're still deep in the magazine now. They're banging on about a 7-page world exclusive, which is a bit much, isn't it? But hey, it's Diddy Kong, people were hyped for this back then. They're even chucking in a 24-page multi-racing championship tips book. Bit overkill for a racing game if you ask me. But more free stuff, I suppose. There's a competition thingy as well, fell off the back of a lorry. Bit. Sounds like your typical magazine giveaway. And they're even giving away a free Nintendo Multi-Racing Championship Driver's Guide, so looks like they are pushing that MRC game again. Funny, since this page is all about Diddy Kong Racing. Still, free is free, can't complain. Nintendo 64 logo, and all the official magazine bits at the bottom as usual. Issue 61 of the magazine, dated October 1997, features a prominent contents page. The issue's main attraction is The Legend of Zelda 64, with exclusive screenshots and coverage starting on page 6. Other news includes games like Wipeout, Yoshi's Story, and Resident Evil 2, misnamed as Biohazard 2 Gun Survival. N64 Plays features GoldenEye 007 and Tetrasphere, page 66, while reviews cover Multi-Racing Championship and Hexen, page 38. Previews include Timon and Pumbaa and FIFA 98, page 94. N64 Sites, page 28. Highlights Diddy Kong Racing, Weetrix, and others. Tips Center, page 43, focuses on Cosmic's Code Quest and more. Regular features include The Big Blag, Club Mario, and Next Month, page 26. Readers can also enter a contest to win an N64 plus Doom 64. This article previews the upcoming Legend of Zelda 64, boasting its unprecedented scale. Nintendo's new 3D RPG is nearing completion and promises vast environments like deserts, swamps, and volcanoes, populated by diverse monsters. The game's massive 128 meg cart size, 4 times larger than Super Mario 64, fuels speculation about enhanced features like speech, FMV, and complex gameplay. The preview highlights impressive graphical details, including dynamic effects like dust and motion blur, with Link displaying more animations than ever. Screenshots showcase Link exploring varied terrains and battling enemies, emphasizing the game's visual fidelity. The author is clearly impressed, anticipating the game's release. A side note touches upon Nintendo's secrecy and teases Rare's projects before concluding with a plug for the Golden Joystick Awards. The overall tone is one of excitement for what was clearly a groundbreaking title. This page previews upcoming 64 games. A potential port of the PlayStation hit Wipeout is discussed, though development and rights are uncertain. The developers envision using the 3D stick for control. Quake for N64 has been delayed to include multiplayer after audience feedback. It will feature 20 single-player levels, deathmatch arenas, and utilize the Rumble and memory packs. Screenshots of the Legend of Zelda 64 are shown, highlighting Link riding a horse, battling a lizard, and traversing lava levels. Finally, there's a brain strain, quiz testing Nintendo knowledge. Lee. Yoshi's story for the N64 is highlighted, emphasizing its beautiful visuals and dynamic camera despite being a 2D platformer. Nintendo is developing it, and a release date is still pending. Elsewhere, Argonaut, known for Star Fox, is working on a 3D shooter and flight simulator. Act Labs is releasing a Nitro Vibe, a Rumble Pack combo, with a memory card. Konami is showcasing 7 N64 games at the Tokyo Game Show, including NBA basketball and Castlevania titles. Lastly, Kemco and Midway are collaborating on Top Gear Rally. Voice. This page is a full-on advert for Extreme G on the N64. It's got this bloke pulling a right face like he's about to lose his lunch, all to illustrate how fast this game is supposed to be. Acceleration so fast it hurts is the tagline, which is a bit much, even for back then. They're really pushing the fastest game on Earth angle, quoting Nintendo Magazine no less, saying it sets a new standard for speed and graphics on the N64. Acclaim were the publishers, and Probe developed it, trying to cash in on the futuristic racer craze that was going on. It's all pretty standard advert bluster really, but you can see what they were going for with the speed thing. It was all about pushing the N64's power. This article highlights the upcoming N64 racer, F-Zero 64. The developers are emphasizing the finalized multiplayer mode, allowing races with up to 4 players, a crucial feature for the console. Improvements include reduced fogging, enhancing the draw distance. The game features unique track designs, with elements like wall racing and complex, layered courses, some even dubbed Walls of Death. Graphically, the game has received a 64-bit overhaul, with classic F-Zero elements returning alongside new additions, such as night tracks and diverse camera angles, including a top-down view. The article boasts impressive speeds, suggesting it's the fastest racer ever, even claiming it will outperform Wipeout. Screenshots showcase the in-game action, the futuristic racers, and a zoomed-out camera. F-Zero 64 is positioned as Nintendo's contender to claim the title of the fastest game. This page showcases a few bits and bobs, kicking off with more about F-Zero 64, following on from the chat about it being a fast racer. We get some in-game screens showing the speed, clocking in at 732 km/h in one shot, which is nippy even for F-Zero. They're still banging on about the 4-player mode, which is fair enough. That's a big deal for the N64. Then we've got a section called Take Control, talking about controllers, but for the Super NES, a bit retro for this mag, isn't it? Spectra Video are flogging these pads called the Sprint Pad 16 and Action Pad 16, boasting about extra buttons and auto-fire. Seems like they're trying to tempt folks who want something a bit different from the standard Nintendo controllers for their old SNES. Next up is Checkmate, about Virtual Chess 64. Chess on the N64. GA. Well, each to their own. Apparently this one's got 2D and 3D boards, cartoon bits, and a tutorial. They're really pushing the boat out, saying it can challenge even grandmasters with its AI. Bit much maybe? Mendorcus. Lastly, there's a power-up with Twix competition for Junior Games Player. Something about winning Nintendo gear and Twix bars. You have to get a fast time on Mario Kart. 64's Koopa Troopa Beach. Sounds like a bit of fun for the kids. And right at the bottom they mention F-Zero 64 having a 4-player option again, just to really hammer that point home. They're definitely excited about that multiplayer. Chameleon Twist, a 3D platform puzzle game for the N64 developed by Japan System, is described as a surreal platformer where you use your chameleon's tongue to interact with the environment and enemies. Featuring a 64 MB cart, the game promises detailed worlds inspired by Super Mario 64, with diverse environments like forests and deserts. Players can choose different chameleons. Screenshots showcase gameplay, including capturing enemies, solving puzzles, boss fights, and multiplayer. The game's style is considered cutesy and a welcome change of pace. The article also reflects on older issues of the magazine, highlighting games like Goemon 2, ActRaiser 2, Kirby's T-Shot, and Mega Man X. It notes a shift away from the gore-soaked, ultra-violent beat-em-ups that were popular in the past. This page is a bit of a giggle. It's a full-page advert for Tizer. They've got this refresh your head concept going on, showing a headmistress before and after a Tizer, looking like she's gone a bit wild. It's promoting the chart show, asking folks to send in photos of boring people to get a Tizer sabotage pack. The chart show was a staple back then, wasn't it? All a bit of 90s marketing. N64 updates highlight upcoming games. Lamborghini 64, a 3D racing sim by Titus, boasts detailed graphics and split-screen multiplayer. Nintendo will skip the Tokyo Game Show for its own Shoshinkai event, showcasing 9 games plus contributions from Konami and Hudson. Mario Kart 64 may receive a Rumble Pack version in Japan, and F-Zero 64 will also be compatible. Zelda 64's plot focuses on rescuing Princess Zelda, with a vast map and digitized voices. A Japanese gamer ranking lists the most and least interesting games, with Mario Kart 64 and Star Fox 64 topping the most interesting list. Wave Race 64 and Pilot Wings 64 appear on the most boring list. Finally, Nintendo is developing a Tamagotchi N64 game for the 64DD. Lamborghini 64 is set to feature 4-player split-screen racing, similar to Extreme G, with a focus on high-speed competition. Screenshots suggest a Ridge Racer-esque visual style, suitable for the N64. Mario Golf, in development by HAL Laboratories, promises a bizarre golf experience with Mario, Peach, and Luigi. Kyoko Hiroki is promoting Rumble Pack versions of Wave Race 64 and Super Mario 64. The Japanese release schedule includes Real World Soccer 3 and Explosive Bomberman in September, and J-League 11 in October. August's top 5 in Japan are Multi-Racing Championship, Goemon 5, Super Mario 64 Rumble Pack, Real Powerful Pro Baseball 4, and Star Fox 64. Yoshi's Story is slated for single-player, featuring expansive worlds and a new sound system, utilizing a 128 MB cartridge. This page is all about puzzle action coming to the N64, with a preview of Puyo Puyo Sun 64. Seems Compile are bringing this quirky Tetris-style puzzler to the console. They're saying it's a 64 meg cart, which was pretty chunky back then, and it's going to have 5 game modes, including a massive 16-player head-to-head mode, which sounds like absolute chaos. Dozens of characters and loads of voice samples are promised too. The game is even going to use the Rumble Pack. Imagine feeling those Puyos slam together. They've got a few screenshots showing the colorful action, and some of the characters looking a bit bonkers, but in a good way. Down at the bottom of the page, there's an announcement for the Comet Game Zone. Remember Comet? Yeah, the electrical store. Apparently, they're launching these gaming zones in their shops where you can try out 64 games, and even PlayStation and Sega stuff if you were feeling adventurous. Good way to try before you buy, I suppose, especially with those expensive N64 cartridges. Then there's a piece about a go-karting event run by Game and the Games. Looks like they took some lucky customers go-karting as a reward for doing well in a Mario Kart 64 time trial in stores. Classic stuff. Everyone loved Mario Kart 64 back then. Paul Hughes from Manchester won apparently, and got a goodie bag. A good day out for some lucky punters. The next page, blimey, talk about a change of pace. After all that talk of colourful puzzle games and 64 madness, we've got a full-page advert for Acne Cream. Yep, Oxy Blackout. Right in the middle of our gaming magazine, we've got a moody-looking woman telling us to keep quiet about our spot-pulling habits. Our boyfriend never has to know you pulled last night. Cheeky! I suppose even gamers get spots, although back then we were probably more worried about getting enough pocket money for the next game than our complexions. Still, I guess someone thought we needed to know about Oxy Blackout tape that lifts out blackheads quickly and gently. Marketing, eh? You gotta love it. Power League Baseball 64, a Japan-released N64 baseball game by Hudson, is reviewed. Aiming to be the international superstar soccer of baseball games, the reviewer highlights its impressive graphics for the time, including textured polygons, various camera angles, and player animations. The game boasts a perfect presentation and a focus on realism. However, the commentary is criticized for its basic Japanese phrases. Screenshots showcase the polygonal players, detailed stadiums, and gameplay. The reviewer is tentatively impressed, considering it a decent baseball simulation despite the commentary flaw, and hints at a unique control method to be discussed later. Mystical Ninja starring Goemon for the N64 marks the series' 3D debut, drawing comparisons to Super Mario 64. Already released in Japan on a large 128 meg cartridge, the game focuses on its impressive graphics and sound. The review highlights the use of digital sound, including a Japanese pop song intro, Going Now, and extensive voice samples. The game features 2 intro sequences, one introducing the characters, including the rotund Ebisumaru, and another showing an alien encounter. Expect the usual Goemon zaniness, with a giant robot Goemon and Ebisumaru's humorous appearance. The reviewer notes the game's colorful and potentially comedic nature, while promising a more in-depth playtest in the future to determine if the game lives up to its initial hype. This page screams 90s gaming alright. Right in your face is this massive, slightly dodgy-looking joystick, all outlined in white, like something out of a rave flyer. It's announcing the Golden Joystick Awards for 1997, remember those? Bit of a big deal back then, proper industry stuff. Looks like official Nintendo magazine was involved somehow, judging by the logo at the bottom. Bongyu. It's quite a visual page, very abstract, with these vertical stripes in oranges and purples, and bits of games scattered around, but nothing really clear. Down in the corner you've got Mario looking a bit chunky, waving away like he's happy to be at the awards bash. No specific games mentioned here, it's just plugging the awards themselves, probably building hype for the next issue where they'd actually announce the winners and all that. Yeah, Golden Joystick Awards 1997, simpler times for gaming, eh? Before everything went completely digital. The 1997 Golden Joystick Awards voting form is a blast from the past, featuring categories for software, magazines, and the games industry. Software categories include Best Looking Game, Nominations, Super Mario 64, Pilotwings 64, Wave Race 64, etc. Best Sounding Game, Killer Instinct Gold, Super Mario 64, etc. Favorite Game Character, Mario, Yoshi, Fox McCloud, etc. Official Nintendo Magazine, Best Nintendo 64 Game, and Most Original Game. Magazine categories focus on design, news scoops, and review writers. The games industry awards Best Ad, Best Development Team, Rare, NCL, etc., and Best Software House. Voters could mail in their choices, a stark contrast to modern online voting. The deadline for submissions was October 21, 1997. Get ready for N64 excitement. The page highlights the Race for Fun Mario Kart 64 tour across the UK in October, with N64 consoles up for grabs at each stop, and a surround sound TV for the overall winner. Locations include Edinburgh, Gateshead, Dudley, Thurrock, and Birmingham. Also featured is Spice Games, showcasing the concept of Donkey Kong's Puzzle Tree, a 3D Tetris-like puzzle game. Finally, the page announces the upcoming release of Banjo-Kazooie in November. The game is expected to be a large and cheap release, and is touted as a promising platformer from Rare, hyped as the next big thing for the N64, boasting a massive 128 meg cart and promising gameplay. This page is a full-on advert for War Gods, remember that one? Midway were trying to muscle in on the 3D fighting game scene, clearly wanting a slice of that Mortal Kombat pie. It's shouting Ultimate 3D Combat in big, bold letters, which was probably pushing it a bit, to be honest. They've got these pairs of fighters lined up, all very dramatic. You've got Kabuki Joe, the feared medieval samurai, going up against Tak, the avenger of a lost civilization. Then there's Vala, the Viking goddess, and Warhead the superhuman fighter, taking on pagan mistress of the black arts, and sci-fi advanced cyborg, quite the mix. Finally, Anubis, because why not? His soul is cursed, against Maximus, a mighty gladiator, and Voodoo, god of the undead. Quite a roster of oddballs, eh? It's for the Nintendo 64, naturally, but also PlayStation, and even Windows 95, so they were clearly trying to get it on everything going. Published by Midway, and distributed by GT Interactive. Proper old school gaming names there. It's got that classic 90s gritty look to it all, trying to be all dark and edgy, just like everything was back then. Bit of a cheese fest now, looking back, but at the time you probably gave it a second glance in the shop. The next page we have here is NBA Hangtime. Now this is a classic arcade basketball game, proper Toon-2 action. It's got that over-the-top feel to it, very much in the style of NBA Jam, another Midway classic. Looking at the image, they've gone for a gritty urban basketball court vibe. Proper 90s style again, mirroring that War Gods advert a bit actually in terms of that dark aesthetic. But this is a bit more fun than gloomy fighters. You can see the game logo, nice and bold at the top, and a player going for a dunk. It's showing off the leg action in the foreground, With those big white trainers, everyone had trainers like that back then. It's just a straight-up game advert, really. No review or anything, just NBA Hangtime in big letters, letting you know it exists on the N64. Simple as that, really. This page is another advert for NBA Hangtime, keeping with that same gritty basketball theme from the last page. It's got that same urban basketball court setting, with the dilapidated building in the background. They're really pushing that street style, aren't they? Again, big bold NBA Hangtime logo, and this time a player is going for a dunk over two other players. It's just a full page spread showing off the game in action. Midway, and Nintendo 64 logos are there, so you know who's bringing it to the console. Simple and effective advert, really. If you were into your basketball games back then, this would probably catch your eye. This Big Blag section is a competition page from a magazine, offering multiple chances to win prizes. Prizes include Babylon 5 videos, with a trivia question about the X-Files. Another competition offers an N64 console, with a question related to Doom 64. A Pee Wee Herman contest gives away videos of Pee Wee's Big Adventure, with a question about a sequel. Finally, anime fans could win Super Atragon and Neon Genesis Evangelion videos, with a question regarding Japanese monsters. All entries needed to be submitted by October 31, 1997. This review section highlights various Nintendo 64 games, providing scores and lifespan ratings. Super Mario 64, with a 95% score and 4 stars, is praised as a classic but criticized for lacking replay value. FIFA 64 receives a 67% and 1 star, while Turok earns 95% and 3 stars. Other notable titles include Killer Instinct Gold, 84%, 3 stars, Star Wars, Shadows of the Empire, 86%, 2 stars, Mario Kart 64, 90%, 5 stars, and Pilotwings 64, 84%, 2 stars, Wave Race 64, 92%, 4 stars, Blast Corps, 87%, 3 stars, ISS 64, 93%, 5 stars, and Doom 64, 85%, 3 stars are also reviewed. The section concludes with a light-hearted, brain-strain answers, and a staff fancies list. This page is a sneak peek at Diddy Kong Racing, set to be a big thing on the N64 back in the day. They've called it Nintendo 64 site. It seems the magazine got an invite to Rare's HQ for a world-exclusive preview. Very fancy. They reckon Rare had a few tricks up their sleeves after the success of Donkey Kong Country, and this Diddy Kong sidekick game was supposed to be a secret project, though word had already gotten out apparently. Typical. Donkey Kong Country 64 was also mentioned as being a favorite, but they were keen to see Diddy Kong Racing. The article highlights the adventure mode, which sounds a bit different to your usual racer. Instead of just picking a track, you explore a world and collect balloons to unlock races. A bit of a collectathon even in a racer. Then there's the track mode, which is more standard fare, pick a course and race, but you have to unlock these in the adventure mode first. So they're trying to mix things up a bit, which is fair enough. The screenshots show the game looks pretty colourful, and typical Rare style. This page is really showing off Diddy Kong Racing then, isn't it? Big picture of Diddy Kong himself, in that plane, the one with the massive number 1 on it. You can tell Rare are going for it with this game. It's got that bright and colourful look they're known for. Very easy on the eyes. Age. Looking at the smaller screenshots, you can see they're showing off different parts of the game. There's one with a proper start line, and the word go, so that's probably the start of a race on a desert-like track. And then another showing a more tropical setting with palm trees and all that. Then there are these snowy levels as well, all very different looking, which is good. They're even showing the in-game display with positions, lap times, banana counts, the works. All the important racing info you need, really. It definitely looks like they're pushing the different vehicles, planes and carts by the looks of it. After Donkey Kong Country, Rare were definitely on a roll back then. Everyone was excited to see what they'd do next, and this Diddy Kong game looked like it could be a right laugh. Mixing up racing with adventure mode sounded like a decent idea too, a bit more to it than just standard races. This page focuses on the gameplay features of Diddy Kong Racing. Players choose from karts, planes or hovercrafts, usable on any track, but some vehicles excel on certain courses. Adventure mode includes a treasure hunt element, with vehicle switching to find balloons. The game features 3 main worlds: Dino Domain, Snowflake Mountain and Sherbet Island, each with 4 courses and unique challenges. The article introduces playable characters like Diddy Kong, Timber the Tiger, Pipsy the Mouse, and Banjo the Honey Bear, detailing their likes and dislikes. Each character's height and weight offer a slightly different gameplay challenge. The review concludes with screenshots showcasing the colorful and fast-paced racing action, highlighting the game's variety and ambition beyond a typical kart racer. Diddy Kong Racing features a unique power-up system tied to colored balloons. Red balloons launch missiles, progressing from basic to homing, and then a 10-shot barrage. Yellow balloons provide shields, protecting against attacks. Blue balloons grant speed boosts, offering quick nudges or warp speed. Green balloons deliver offensive drops, like oil slicks, spiky balls, and trapping bubbles. Purple balloons are magnets, pulling you forward or, more mischievously, dragging rivals backward. The game showcases a diverse roster of racers. Conker, the squirrel, is featured alongside Bumper the badger, Tip-Top the turtle, and Crash the Kremling. Each character has their own personality and preferences, adding depth to the racing experience. The gameplay is described as fast-paced and colorful, with screenshots displaying the characters utilizing the various power-ups and racing across different vehicles. This official Nintendo magazine page focuses on Diddy Kong Racing. Fen64 site offers gameplay tips. Beware of the Dino, advises players to use missiles against the track's dinosaur obstacle. No points for second best, stresses the importance of winning to progress. Unlike in Mario Kart, the article also introduces key characters. Taj the Genie, who offers advice and vehicle swaps, Tat, the time trial-obsessed clock, and the antagonist, Whizpig, the main boss. More in store, details the boss races, where victory unlocks new courses. Overall, the page provides useful advice and character introductions for a fast-paced and challenging racing game. Special Reserve Gaming Club is aggressively promoting itself with a large advertisement. Boasting over 300,000 members, they offer benefits like pre-release access, free gifts, magazines, and cheat books for a £6 annual full membership. Joining gifts include a virtual pet, personal stereo, or a movie. The ad features game sales for N64, Game Boy, and Super NES, including popular titles like Mario Kart 64 and Super Mario World. They also offer N64 consoles and bundles, plus 0% finance deals on consoles, and even TV Star. Special Reserve operates via mail order and has physical stores, with a new location opening in Upminster and an existing one in Bristol, suggesting an expanding business model aimed at attracting gamers through club membership and product sales. This guide offers tips for Diddy Kong Racing on the N64. The Need for Speed focuses on the banana mechanic, where collecting 10 bananas grants a speed boost, but risks a wipeout if overdone. To cut a long story short, emphasizes shortcuts, found throughout the tracks using visual cues and animal platforms. Off to a Flyer explains how to gain a starting boost by timing your acceleration. Silver Dream Machine details the silver coin challenges, unlocked after winning a world's races, offering a tougher challenge by collecting coins against skilled opponents. Lastly, the Brat Pack highlights Rumble Pack compatibility for enhanced realism and the ability to save 20 time trial ghosts. This magazine page focuses on Diddy Kong Racing. It hints at a secret reward for beating all bosses a second time and collecting hidden items. The multiplayer section, Feast for 4, details the game's split-screen mode, supporting up to 4 players, similar to Mario Kart 64. The fourth player's screen even displays the course layout. I can see clearly now, explains camera angle adjustments, allowing a wider view for better visibility. Second Nature discusses controls, claiming they are easy to pick up, especially for Mario Kart 64 players, and touts easier power sliding. Finally, there's a special thanks to section recognizing key developers and the team, alongside screenshots showcasing gameplay and split-screen action. This page is a bit of a laugh, isn't it? Seems like they've gone for a bit of a dungeon vibe here. You've got this old brick wall, a Viking helmet with massive horns perched on a rusty shelf, and an axe and sword just hanging about. There's even a sign that reads, "Forget everything your mother said about running with sharp objects." Bit tongue-in-cheek, really. Not much to do with Nintendo games directly on this page itself, more of a scene setter maybe, or just a bit of filler to break things up in the mag. You know, back then these mags weren't all just game reviews and walkthroughs, there was always a bit of this kind of thing knocking about to add some flavor. It's all a bit dramatic and gothic, maybe hinting at some darker or edgier games coming up, or perhaps just trying to be a bit funny before you get to the next lot of game stuff. Quite the departure from the Diddy Kong Racing page before it, that's for sure. This page is a full-on advert for Hexen on the N64, continuing that dungeon vibe from the previous page actually. It's got all the dark and moody imagery, golden armor and chainmail against a stone wall. The game itself, according to this, is all about being a hero, warrior, mage or cleric, that sort of thing, using lethal weapons and magic spells to get through. Sounds like they were really pushing the beyond evil angle. Proper dark fantasy stuff. Right at the bottom are the logos for Nintendo 64, GT Interactive, My Died Software, and Raven, all the big names involved back then. MRC, a new racing game for the N64, is aiming to compete with Saturn and PlayStation racers. Due in September, it offers standard features like racing on various surfaces, off-roading, and multiple game modes, championship, time trial, etc., with adjustable weather and lap counts. The game includes 3 tracks, with the first, Seaside, offering a beach drive experience. Visually, it appears typical for the time. Published by Ocean and priced at £59.99, it's a 64 meg kart with battery backup and memory park save functionality. The article also previews Top Gear Rally, hyped as a comprehensive racer with numerous options, terrains, and weather effects, and aiming for a Christmas release. Several racing games are coming to the N64. Mountain and Downtown feature unique tracks, with Mountain requiring heavier vehicles and Downtown incorporating off-road sections and a shortcut. Rev Limit is being developed with Nintendo's help, and is expected to have 2-player gameplay. Lamborghini 64 is being improved with pit stops, weather effects, a 4-player mode, and wheel support, but its developer has a mixed track record. F1 Pole Position 64 is receiving improvements for the US and UK versions, but is unlikely to drastically change gameplay and might only appeal to F1 fans. The author is hopeful for the upcoming N64 racing lineup. This article previews upcoming racing games for the N64. It starts with general racing tips, discussing car types, and the importance of handling versus speed. A new single-player mode called Match Race is described, unlocking mirror modes after completion. Car customization options, including tires, brakes, and suspension, are also detailed. The article then previews specific games. Extreme G is highlighted for its speed, with concerns about competition. San Francisco Rush is praised for its arcade-quality graphics and speed, deemed a 1 to watch. Finally, 064 receives high praise, with early footage impressing. The game, with Shigeru Miyamoto's involvement, is predicted to be a strong competitor, potentially rivaling Mario Kart 64 in multiplayer appeal. Overall, the article expresses excitement for the N64's racing game lineup. Mobile One Rally Championship, MRC, for the N64 is reviewed, highlighting its strengths despite visual limitations. The review praises the game's playability, offering multiple camera views for increased excitement. A standard 2-player split-screen mode is included. The game is considered a solid first rally title on the N64, though not visually groundbreaking. Sean White comments that it satisfies racing fans. The review scoring gives graphics an 80, sound a 73, playability an 86, lastability a 79, and overall 83%. Despite noting some sound issues, the review recommends the game, suggesting it's highly playable and enjoyable, despite not being a classic. This page is a rather amusing advert for Mars bars, harking back to the days when chocolate was pitched as a social lubricant, I suppose. It's got this hand-drawn, almost childish style, with a little story played out using images instead of words, proper 90s magazine stuff, Baras. So the opening line, "Zoe won't go out with you in a million years," is represented by a big Z, with a heart pierced by an arrow for Zoe, and a pair of geeky glasses for you. Then Jeered Dan is illustrated with a couple of rather menacing-looking knives. Bit harsh, Dan. Last Night is shown with a photo booth strip of a couple getting friendly and a big smoochy lipstick print. Finally, Said is a microphone, implying he's boasting about it. Katie. The whole thing wraps up with the tagline, "Keep up Mars," and a picture of a Mars bar. The message is pretty clear. Feeling rejected? Down a Mars and suddenly you're a romantic hero. Bit simplistic, but it's a chocolate bar advert at the end of the day. You wouldn't see anything this daft these days, but back then, this sort of thing was all over the place in magazines. It's a bit of light-hearted silliness, really. This text excerpt from a retro Nintendo magazine highlights cheat codes for the N64 game, Turok, Dinosaur Hunter. The section, billed as a comprehensive guide, features a collection of monster cheats, including codes for infinite lives, all weapons, and more bizarre modes like pen and ink, and disco mode. A big cheat likely unlocks everything. Beyond the codes, A gameplay tip reveals how to strategically fell trees with gunfire and explosives to crush enemies. The magazine encourages readers to submit their own cheat codes via mail to an address in London, with all tips verified by the Nintendo hotline. The text evokes a sense of nostalgia for the pre-internet era, when cheat codes were sought after and shared. This vintage Nintendo magazine snippet offers cheat codes and tips for classic N64 games. Blast Core features an instant explosion cheat and a speed start trick. Doom 64 provides level passwords for players stuck in the game's depths. Super Mario 64 offers an infinite lives exploit for Bowser's final battle. Finally, International Superstar Soccer 64 includes tips for curling the ball, exploiting bug goals, and activating a big head mode. These tips, verified by the Nintendo hotline, harken back to a time when gamers relied on magazines and phone numbers for game secrets. This page details various cheat codes for N64 games. In Star Wars: Shadows of the Empire, players can control Imperial forces by entering Wampa Stomper and manipulating controller settings, even piloting at STS. Mortal Kombat Trilogy features reverse babalities that cause opponents to explode, alongside codes for unlocking secret characters like Human Smoke and bonus minigames such as Galaga, Pong, and Space Invaders. Wave Race 64 offers a guide to performing aquatic stunts like somersaults and barrel rolls. Finally, Pilot Wing 64 enables players to warp across the map using the rocket belt by colliding with the ceiling of the hangar near the space shuttle. All of these tips were supposedly verified by the Nintendo hotline. The Nintendo Tips Center provides solutions for struggling gamers. Desert Strike players get extra lives with password B, S9, J27 and others. For Mystic Quest, the Bag of Fang is found south of JADD. Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening tips include how to beat the level 3 boss and Windfish bosses. Donkey Kong Country 2 players can get 50 lives with a button combination at the player select screen, and 75 Kremling coins with a bit of faffing about in Pirate Panic level. Finally, Flashback players can advance levels with passwords, like CRLQXZ, to level 7. The hotline team, Mike, Donna, James and Paul, are there to solve your gaming nightmares on Super NES, Game Boy and 64. Contact them at 017-036-52222. This Nintendo Hot Help page offers tips and assistance for various Super NES and Game Boy games. Readers seek help with Mortal Kombat 3 fatalities, Killer Instinct ultimate moves, including character-specific combos, King of Fighters 95 boss moves, and NBA Jam cheats, like Juice Turbo. Pilot Wing's passwords for levels 2 to 10 are provided as well. The page ends with a call to action for players stuck on any game, directing them to the Nintendo hotline at 017-036-52222. Warrington, Norsa. This page is a tip section from the magazine, and it's all about Hexen on the N64. Remember Hexen? Doom-style fantasy shooter, bit darker and grittier than some of the stuff on the N64 back then. They're calling it Tips Center, and this particular bit is focused on Episode 1, 7 Portals, in a section called the Winnowing Hall. They're not exactly singing its praises, are they? Calling the N64 conversion not the best game in the world, but saying the level design is fiendish. Classic magazine honesty, I suppose. They've got a step-by-step walkthrough with 5 numbered screenshots. It's like basic stuff, finding secret passages behind stained glass windows, picking up an emerald key to open doors. Standard fare for these types of games, really. Then it's on to finding a silver key in a shadowy cave to open a tower. Finally, running up the stairs in the tower to strike the bell, which apparently activates the exit teleport in the chapel. Straightforward level guide stuff for anyone who got a bit stuck in Hexen back in the day. At the bottom, it says all tips verified by the Nintendo hotline with a phone number. So if you got really stuck, you could phone them up. Those were the days before the internet was everywhere. This guide details 3 areas in Hexen. 7 Portals involves finding numbered wooden doors in a courtyard. Starting with Door 2, unlocked by a bull's head switch, leads to a quartz flask and a portal to the Guardian of Ice. In the Guardian of Ice area, a switch activates 4 pillars. Stepping on the correct pillar opens doors 1 and 3 in 7 portals, leading to a portal to the Guardian of Fire. The Guardian of Fire area has a lava trap in the first room. Pull a switch to open door 6 and find a secret door with a stone mask symbol. After crossing a bridge and finding a switch, the flame mask is obtained. Returning to 7 portals and entering door 3 grants access to the Guardian of Steel. These areas are interlinked with item hunts, typical of Hexen's style. GoldenEye. This Hexen walkthrough details how to navigate 3 areas: Guardian of Steel, 7 portals, and Guardian of Ice. Guardian of Steel involves classic puzzle solving: stairs, iron rings, and chain switches to open doors and activate lifts. 7 portals requires collecting a quartz flask, opening specific doors, and avoiding crush traps. After navigating stairs, you reach a red portal to the Guardian of Ice. This section features switch-activated stairs, dark passages, and a chamber with pillars. Players must use the flame mask to lower a pillar, then navigate an icy room with cracking floors to obtain the steel key before escaping a moving ice hazard via a teleporter. The walkthrough highlights the interconnected and complex level design characteristic of Hexen. Warrantana. This walkthrough picks up in Hexen after the Guardian of Fire level. The guide emphasizes the key-finding gameplay, a core element of Hexen. Players use a portal, navigate lava, and solve switch puzzles to obtain the fire key, unlocking further areas. Guardian of Steel then revisits a familiar area on the opposite side. Here, players must use the steel key and chain switches, which will unlock levels in the hub. Finally, 7 portals begins in the hub, involving switch-based door openings, enemy encounters, and navigating a magical bridge to find a weapon part and complete the level. The guide makes a playful comparison to Turok's bridge design. This walkthrough guides players through key finding in Hexen's Shadowwood episode. The first objective is obtaining the Horn Key, starting in the Wastelands. Players navigate to a switch near a canyon, activating a portal. Next in the Wastelands, players progress through a tunnel, find the cave key, and use a revolving door. Finally, the Shadowwood level itself involves navigating a river, climbing stairs, and jumping to a tower to obtain a weapon. Players then open a river tunnel by activating a switch in the swamp. The player then climbs stairs, encounters enemies, and activates a final switch to open the Darkmere portal. The guide emphasizes classic Hexen elements, like hidden pathways, switch puzzles, and exploration. This walkthrough guides players through the Darkmere and Shadowwood levels of Hexen. In Darkmere, the guide emphasizes switch hunting and puzzle solving. Players begin in a swamp, navigating rotten trees and environmental hazards like currents. The walkthrough details steps for finding keys, including the castle key, and overcoming obstacles like drawbridges, water puzzles, and traps. The level concludes with a portal back to Shadowwood. Shadowwood continues the exploration in a temple setting. The guide describes finding the black mask to raise stairs, and navigating the level through corridors, stairs, and hidden switches. The focus remains on exploration, item acquisition, and puzzle solving, characteristic of Hexen's gameplay. This guide provides walkthroughs for 2 game areas, Caves of Circe and the Wastelands. Caves of Circe details a key hunting adventure involving bat-filled holes, cave keys, puzzles, and a platinum helmet. Players navigate caves, a river, and a swamp, utilizing keys and puzzle switches to reach the exit. The Wastelands starts in a tunnel seeking a first key, leading to a cave key and lava-filled challenges. A magic bridge appears after defeating enemies, potentially Ettins. The path continues through tunnels, a grey tunnel, and the Crater of Might, culminating in a swamp key and a temple accessed via a puzzle switch. The section concludes with a main door, a portal, and a final puzzle switch leading to Darkmere, cleverly connecting to a previous walkthrough. This walkthrough covers 3 Hexen levels: Darkmere, Shadowwood, and the Hyperstyle. Darkmere involves navigating a courtyard, tunnels, and a puzzle switch before finding the Caves of Circe portal. Shadowwood serves as a quick link, starting in the caves and utilizing portals to connect areas, including the Shadowwood temple exit that leads to the Hyperstyle. The Hyperstyle, with its randomized room order, features challenges like a serpent room, weapon part, a centaur room, weapon part, and a lava room, weapon part. Completing these rooms leads to the Wings of Wrath and a wyvern battle, unlocking a portal to Episode 3. The Nintendo Tips Center's Classic Corner focuses on Secret of Mana for the SNES this month. The game, still popular, is generating many hotline calls. The guide addresses common player difficulties, including the Fire Gigas boss, Moogle clues, Shadow Zero enemies, escaping the Fire Palace, retrieving the sprite, and entering the Pandora Ruins. They also provide tips on the Analyzer spell and Lumina magic. The answers are simple, with screenshots to assist. Despite the N64's arrival, The guide affirms secret of mana's value. Contact information for the Nintendo hotline is available for further assistance. This classic corner section revisits the SNES game Secret of Mana, answering player questions. The Q&A covers various challenges, including navigating the Emperor's Palace force fields, use a teleport tile and switch, and defeating the Mana Beast, requiring teamwork with the girl and sprite to empower the hero's sword. Advice is given on the Dragon Worm, Thunderbolt spell needed, and a table details the locations of all mana seeds. Further advice provides the best armor for each character, tips on finding Flamey, Salamando, the Midge Mallet, and the Moogle Belt. It also explains how to beat Egg Agropylon using Dispel Magic and Earth Slide, and how to reach the Gold Tower, talk to a resistance leader in South Town. Finally, it confirms the Ocean Face is indeed a face, encouraging players to call the Nintendo hotline if they're still stuck. The Nintendo Tip Center challenges N64 players to submit their best scores and times in several games. First, complete Blast Core and achieve the fastest time in time attack on Oyster Harbor. Second, set a fast time trial on Mountain Road in Multi-Racing Championship, on road only. Third, collect the most coins in Super Mario 64. Fourth, record the fastest time in Mario Kart 64's Royal Raceway time trial. Fifth, score the highest as Japan in a 5-minute match in ISS 64. Players are also encouraged to submit screenshots from various other games, including Donkey Kong Country, Zelda 64, GoldenEye 007, and more. They provide tips for taking clear screen photos and offer a year's magazine subscription to winners. Entries must be submitted by October 26, 1997, and the Nintendo hotline is available for assistance. This advertisement promotes a subscription to Nintendo Magazine, offering a free N64 carry bag and a 256 kilobits memory card for a 12-month commitment, saving subscribers £7.50. 5 reasons to subscribe are touted: free Gamester accessories, the 12 issues for the price of 9 deal, free UK postage, exclusive N64 content, and a monthly tips book. The ad features a mail-in subscription form requiring personal details, payment options, check, postal order, or credit card, and even a space for a signature and date of birth. The offer, which included source and offer codes, was valid until October 30, 1997, and even included an opt-out option for future marketing. Hexen for the N64 is previewed, promising a Christmas release in the UK. The game features a dark fantasy theme, with players battling the Serpent Rider Korax as a warrior, cleric, or mage in a dungeon-crawling setting. The reviewer notes a comparison to Magicians, highlighting the game's conjurer theme. The preview includes a graphic showing a brutal-looking weapon and a screenshot of gameplay, which looks graphically unpolished. The caption humorously depicts a centaur enemy. Game details are listed, including GT Interactive as the publisher, a release date in October, a shoot-'em-up/dungeon crawler genre, 1 to 4 player multiplayer, a 64 meg cart size, and memory pack saves. Despite the rough visuals, the preview is enthusiastic, promising medieval dungeon action. Hexen uses a mana system for its magic weapons, moving away from traditional bullets. The game features unique weapons for each character, including a weak starting wand. Players can assemble a powerful fourth weapon by collecting parts. The level design incorporates a hub system with interconnected levels, puzzles, and key hunting. Screenshots show off mana, enemies, and the overall medieval fantasy aesthetic. The map is presented on tattered parchment, distinguishing it from Doom 64. The preview suggests Hexen is more than just a straightforward shooter, emphasizing its depth through mana management, weapon customization, and puzzle solving. This article reviews N64 multiplayer deathmatch games, comparing them to the classic Doom experience. Hexen disappoints with poor level design and visibility, earning a low 3/10. GoldenEye 007 shines, praised for its 4-player mode, diverse options, and high score of 9/10, solidifying its reputation as a definitive multiplayer experience. Duke Nukem 3D's port is promising with deathmatch, co-op, and eye opponents, but the score is pending. Mario Kart 64, despite not being a shooter, receives a 9/10 for its addictive multiplayer, considered by some as the best N64 multiplayer game. Overall, GoldenEye and Mario Kart are the highlights, while Hexen falters, and Duke Nukem's fate is yet to be determined. This page delves into the supposed cool things about Hexen. And fair play, After that drubbing it got in the multiplayer review, they're trying to find something positive to say, bless 'em. It starts by acknowledging the N64 port is a bit of a duffer, but reckons the core Hexen concept is still decent. They highlight a few bits and bobs, starting with the Porculator, which is basically a smart bomb that turns enemies into little piggies. Apparently good clean fun, not. Then there's the Disc of Repulsion, a magical item that shoves enemies out of your way, and they are not even sure how it works. Maybe a sweaty feet smell. Charming. Next up, Armor gets a mention. Apparently loads of different types from chainmail to dragon skin braces. Bit heavy if you're going clubbing apparently. Classic. The Wings of Wrath are flagged as a top power-up for flying about and getting to out-of-reach places, or just getting away from things. Finally, the Dark Servant, which is like your own personal 8-foot death machine, described as a magical monster, but not much of a conversationalist apparently. So yeah, they are really scraping the barrel to find good things to say about Hexen after that multiplayer review, aren't they? But I suppose every game has its fans, even the dodgy N64 ports. This N64 review of Hexen, titled Majulike, is highly critical. The review highlights the character classes: Fighter, Baratus, Cleric, Parius, and Mage, Didolon, though the reviewer is not impressed. The core concept is acknowledged as potentially good, with interesting level hubs, but the conversion from the 2-year-old PC game is slammed. The review criticizes the poor graphics, fuzzy visuals, and jerky gameplay, along with the lack of impactful explosions. The audio is deemed vaguely suitable. Playability suffers from the graphics. The reviewer finds the levels ingenious and the game challenging. The overall score is a 60%, concluding it's a sloppy conversion and a wasted opportunity, advising readers to avoid the 4-player mode. The reviewer, Stephen Fuljames, is clearly not a fan. This advert from Gameplay, a UK mail-order company, promotes Nintendo 64 consoles and games. They boast being Britain's largest supplier, offering lowest prices and free 48-hour delivery. Bundles include consoles with games like Mario Kart 64 and Super Mario 64, priced around £180. They offer trade-in discounts and list various UK N64 games, priced between £30 to £50. An Imported Us Nintendo 64 Games section includes titles like Blast Corps and GoldenEye. Peripherals like steering wheels, joypads, memory cards, and cheat devices are also available. They even sell the Nintendo Virtual Boy and its games for a low price. The advert concludes with an old-school mail-order form, promising free UK postage. GoldenEye 007 for the N64 is hailed as a breakthrough movie tie-in, surpassing the usual Doom clone expectations. The review emphasizes the game's faithful recreation of Bond's world, including stealth, gadgets, and a compelling mission, preventing an illegal arms organization from controlling the GoldenEye satellite. Players navigate 12 interactive 3D levels with varying difficulty settings, receiving briefings from LM and messages from Moneypenny, which are crucial for success. The game features impressive graphics for its time, especially on the N64. Developed by Rare, it's a 3D shooter with multiplayer options, a 64 meg cart, battery backup, and memory pack save functionality. Released in the US/Japan, the review highlights the game's excitement, marking it as a significant title and a nostalgic experience. This page covers GoldenEye 007, and it's clear they're pretty chuffed with it, aren't they? The headline screams, "The name's Bond, James Bond," which is a bit much, even for Bond. Apparently, as soon as you start you get the classic Bond theme and Pierce Brosnan shooting the screen, typical over-the-top Bond intro. They're saying Rare has done a great job bringing GoldenEye to the N64, and that it's oozing quality. They've even used digitized actors from the film, like Sean Bean as 06 and Robbie Coltrane as Valentin Zukovsky, to make it realistic as possible, bless them. And of course, all the classic villains are there too, like Jaws, Mayday. An odd job you can't have Bond without them, can you? There are a few screenshots dotted around showing the in-game action and character models, looking fairly blocky as you'd expect on the N64, but at the time, this was cutting edge, you know? They're really pushing the whole movie tie-in that's actually good angle, and to be fair, at the time, GoldenEye was a proper step up from the usual movie game rubbish we were used to. They've even got a little caption, saying Bond's taking out a soldier with a leg shot, calling him merciful, which is a bit tongue-in-cheek. It's all very enthusiastic, like they've actually played it and enjoyed it. Imagine that. GoldenEye 007 emphasizes stealth over brute force, with intelligent AI that reacts to noise and weapon choice. The game features a variety of weapons, including a sniper rifle for long-range kills and the Peep7 pistol, which can destroy parts of the environment. There are 19 weapons to collect, alongside body armor, and even the standard PP7 can be upgraded. Mission briefings provide context and objectives for each level, enhancing the spy atmosphere. A visual indicator shows when Bond is hit. Difficulty settings significantly impact gameplay, with easier modes making Bond more resilient, and harder ones making him more vulnerable. This page celebrates GoldenEye 07 stealth gameplay, praising the use of environments for cover and the sniper rifle's strategic advantage. The article then highlights the revolutionary multiplayer, with 4-player split-screen deathmatches and unique modes like You Only Live Twice and The Man with the Golden Gun, offering 8 different scenarios for chaotic fun. The Q-Watch feature, allowing players to pause and access mission status and game options, is also lauded. The review concludes with Tim Street's N64 view, emphasizing GoldenEye's impact, impressive weapon variety, and strategic depth, solidifying its place as a genre-defining title on the N64, even with the limitations of the graphics. This page is a full-on advert for Doom 64. Following on from GoldenEye and its stealthy spy action, this is a complete 180, straight into demon-blasting territory. The advert text is all dramatic, saying, "You killed the demons once, they were all dead. Or so you thought." Classic horror setup. In it, apparently, some single demon got away and messed with the demon corpses to bring them back even stronger and nastier. So, the mission is simple. Kill or be killed. No messing about there then. Warrington Norkers, it's all pretty standard Doom fare, just dialed up for the N64. Doom 64 was actually a pretty solid game, a bit darker and more atmospheric than the PC originals, and definitely a good shout if you wanted some proper first-person shooting on your Nintendo 64 back in the day. It's got that chunky, pixelated look of the era, but for Doom, it kind of worked. You can see the Doom 64 logo big and bold at the bottom, along with the GT Interactive and Midway logos, who published it. So yeah, just a full-page ad selling the doom and gloom of Doom 64. The next page is another Doom 64 advert, this time with a massive, in-your-face demon skull logo. It's really driving home the whole demonic horror aspect of Doom on the N64, building on the premise from the previous page about the demons coming back even nastier. Tetrisphere, a unique puzzle game for the N64, reimagines the Tetris formula. Players manipulate blocks on a sphere to match colors and clear the screen, diverging from the traditional block-dropping gameplay. The review praises its engaging and bizarre gameplay, comparable to classics like Tetris Attack. Screenshots illustrate gameplay, including how to make legal moves. The review recommends new players utilize the tutorial modes, Basic, Advanced, and Puzzle, before diving into the main game. Tetrisphere offers multiplayer modes, including 2-player versus ties, and features a 64 MB size with battery backup. Released in the US, it was likely an import for other regions at the time. The reviewer concludes it's a solid puzzle game, perfect for filling the time between other N64 titles. This page continues on about Tetrisphere, going into more detail on how it plays. They're still drawing comparisons to Tetris, mentioning the next block feature, which is standard puzzle fare really. Apparently, sometimes you get a wildcard block, which is handy for sticking anywhere. They're calling it just like the old days, but reckon it's totally different to Tetris, which is a bit of a contradiction, isn't it? The main thing is you're shifting blocks on a sphere, not just dropping them from the top. You've got to line up matching colors to clear them. If you drop a block in the wrong place, you lose a life. Simple enough. The On My Own section describes the single-player modes. There's Rescue, where you're trying to free a robot, Hide and Seek, Drill and Puzzle. Each mode's got 100 levels, which should keep you busy for a bit. Good to see it's got autosave, saves the hassle of passwords like in the old days. Roy. Then they talk about Time Trial mode, which is pretty self-explanatory. Race against the clock to rack up points. Combos are key apparently. There's a screenshot showing some stats from a game, high scores and all that. Finally, there's O versus Computer, which is your standard 2-player head-to-head against a computer-controlled robot. Sounds like your typical puzzle game modes really, nothing too groundbreaking but enough to keep you entertained, I suppose. The 2-player mode in Tetrisphere, called A Friend in Need, pits players against each other. Each player selects one of 6 bots, with varying speed and power stats, impacting cursor movement and block dragging. Wheels is ideal for beginners, while Gear excels with speed and power. Other bots include Rocket, Fast, Weak, Gyro, Strong, Quick, Jack, Balanced, Turbine, Moderate speed and power, and Stomp, Slow, Strong. Gameplay involves triggering magic items with 20-piece combos to attack the opponent. Players must also avoid the final countdown phase, where the sphere moves, and illegal drops, touching the screen's edge. The mode adds strategic depth and time pressure beyond the core puzzle experience. Tetrasphere's main gameplay, dubbed Power to the People, involves clearing blocks on a sphere using power pieces for combos. Clearing 3 to 19 blocks earns points, while a 20-piece combo unlocks magic items, essentially power-ups. The game allows saving of 8 separate games, with automatic saves and top 5 high score tracking for bragging rights. The Scores section lists high scores in time trial and rescue modes. The N64 view highlights Sean White's comment that Tetrasphere's gameplay surpasses its graphics. He notes the game's puzzle-based addictive nature, despite its visual simplicity compared to other N64 titles. He concludes by praising its addictiveness and anticipating its UK release. Quai. Weetrix, a water-themed puzzle game for the N64, is the focus of this preview. The game aims to capitalize on the puzzle game trend following Tetrasphere. The gameplay involves rotating and placing blocks onto an isometric landscape to create reservoirs and contain water. Players must manage the water flow, preventing it from spilling over the edges, which earns points. The preview humorously describes the gameplay, comparing it to Tetris meets SimCity. Later levels introduce fireballs that add chaos and increase the game's speed. Ultimately, Weetrix is presented as another potentially addictive, block-based puzzle game for fans of the genre. Weetrix is more than just a block-placing puzzle game. It features dynamic elements like fireballs that steam water, bombs creating holes, and ice cubes for temporary freezing. Earthquakes add further chaos. Initially, it was a water motion demo, evolving into a full game. The developers, ReadyZ2, Renisti and John Pickford, emphasize their game development expertise, not removal services. They have a strong background, formerly from Rare and Software Creations, and worked on several SNES titles including Solar Jetman, Plock, Spider-Man and X-Men, Ken Griffey Jr., MLB, Maximum Carnage and Tin Star. Weetrix on N64 is a puzzle game with multiple gameplay modes. The two-player mode involves strategically drowning your opponent using water, ice and bombs, utilizing a power bar for attacks. Single-player offers a classic versus computer experience, while Weetrix Pro provides a faster-paced version. Practice mode introduces the game's mechanics with visual aids. The text highlights scoring mechanics, creating rainbows earns megapoints, and fireballs/steaming water provides bonus points. The overview showcases the various methods to play Weetrix, emphasizing the game's depth. This text describes gameplay elements and a competition related to the N64 game Weetrix. The core gameplay involves manipulating a landscape using C buttons to contain water and strategically place blocks, rotating them with the blue button and speeding them up with green. The water gauge indicates when overflowing leads to a game over. Earthquake levels introduce a quake gauge that can destroy the landscape, adding a layer of challenge. The text also mentions a Splash Hits competition, where players could design Weetrix backgrounds with Nintendo or Weetrix themes. The winner's artwork would be included in the game, a significant prize at the time. Entrants had to submit their work by October 20, 1997, hoping for a chance to leave their mark on the popular puzzle game. This page is all about American football, blimey. It's a preview for NFL Quarterback Club 98 on the N64 from Acclaim. Seems they're trying to get us Brits interested. Now the American football season is kicking off. They reckon this is the perfect time to show off their 64-bit effort and take on Madden 64, always a big rivalry, that one. The write-up is trying to convince us that American football isn't as complicated as it looks. They say if you can ignore all the pages of rules, it's actually quite simple once you grasp the basics. Offense, defense, and special teams. Offense scores, defense stops them, and special teams are for kicking. Cheers for the simple explanation. Acclaim. Very helpful. Take Asia. There are a bunch of screenshots showing off the game. You can see the players lined up, and there's one caption about a Jets linebacker about to flatten a Broncos quarterback. Bit violent. Another picture shows the play calling with Red 98 hut hut. All very authentic sounding, I suppose. They're clearly pushing the 64-bit graphics and trying to make it look as realistic as possible for the N64. Whether it can really challenge Madden though, we will have to wait and see. Seems like Acclaim are throwing their hat into the ring and want to make this one count against their biggest rival. Good luck to them. NFL Quarterback Club 98 is presented as a solid American football game, featuring standard modes like Quick Start, Season, and Playoffs. A key selling point is the official NFL licenses, granting access to all teams, players, and logos, a direct comparison to Madden 64. This allows for accurate representations of team kits and players. The gameplay fundamentals are explained, including play selection, running versus passing, with running being safer and passing more exciting. The game also boasts accurate stadium recreations for hardcore fans. A custom cam feature promises close-up action. However, the review questions whether these features are enough to truly compete with the established Madden series. This page showcases more of Acclaim's NFL Quarterback Club 98 on the N64, drilling down into the gameplay. It looks like they're explaining the controls and different play types. The first section, Time to Take Control, talks about running plays and how you use the B and C buttons for things like speed bursts and spinning moves once you've handed off the ball, which is standard footy fare really. They also mention passing plays and highlighting receivers. Sounds like your typical play calling stuff. Then there's a bit called Step Back in Time, which seems like the interesting bit. It's talking about a simulation mode, where you can replay historical NFL match scenarios. Apparently there are 50 of these scenarios, and they put you in at the end of a game, usually behind, tasking you to rewrite history. They mention these scenarios are from the last 32 years, and some are proper hard challenges against top teams. They even give an example of Super Bowl XXXI, Patriots versus Packers, and how the Patriots were underdogs but came back. So it's like a challenge mode, with a historical twist. Pretty neat idea back then, I suppose. Visually, it's all in-game screenshots showing typical American football action, players in helmets, big stadiums. All looks like it should for an N64 footy game from '98. Nothing groundbreaking graphically, but it gets the job done. This page is an advertisement for a sports magazine called Sported, Warrington Youth Orcus. It claims to be the UK's biggest and best, and covers a wide range of sports from football and basketball to Formula 1 and extreme sports. Everything except actually interesting sports, perhaps. The cover star is Gianfranco Zola, the Chelsea player, alongside Tim Henman. Inside they promise features on Grant Hill, Mark Overmars, Robin Reed, and David Ginola. It's all about sports facts and pull-out stats, which isn't exactly gripping stuff, but for a quid I suppose some kids were into it. Each issue apparently includes posters of sports stars. There's a section to order it, and if you were a young'un back, then you'd need a parent to sign up. It's available at all newsagents. Not much to do with the N64 thankfully, but there you go. Quarterback Club 98 offers a management skills mode, letting players control their team's roster. This includes trading and signing players, with the ability to create custom players, setting their skills and salary. A $41 million salary cap prevents excessive spending. Free agency allows signing released players. Players can also create entire teams with a $41 million budget to compete against existing NFL squads. The game also features an NFL draft, mirroring the real-life process. This management focus, alongside the on-field action and fancy camera angles, elevated the game beyond simple gameplay. This advertisement, reminiscent of classic gaming magazines, promotes Nintendo gear from Excitement Direct. The focus is on the Nintendo 64, showcasing console bundles with games like Lilat Wars, Doom 64, and Mario Kart 64, for around £182. Colored controllers were available for £26 each, along with third-party options like the Sharkpad. The ad also features a range of N64 games, including GoldenEye and Mario 64, and offered a GoldenEye offer for a Rumble Pack. A selection of Super NES games, such as Donkey Kong Country and Street Fighter II Turbo, are also listed, alongside Game Boy titles like Tetris and accessories. The ad evokes a sense of nostalgia for the era of mail-order gaming. This Club Mario letters page, likely from a 90s Nintendo magazine, features reader mail and responses. One letter complains about high-end 64 game prices, particularly for titles like Turok, and the lack of payment options. The magazine responds with a PR-style answer and offers a free memory pack. Another letter criticizes Super Mario 64's gameplay, comparing it unfavorably to Tomb Raider. A third letter praises Nintendo, contrasting it with the PlayStation and Saturn, which are deemed inferior due to disappointing arcade ports. The magazine agrees, suggesting the N64 will eventually host better releases. The page also details prize giveaways for letter submissions, and a section encouraging readers to report Nintendo appearances on television. Club Mario's letters page features various reader submissions. Rubberman highlights stretched Mario face drawings. Letter of the month sees Tim Webster complain about Mario Kart 64 freezing, a known issue, particularly on Wario Stadium. Tim Faulkner critiques the N64's black box borders, deemed cheap-looking. All Aboard showcases praise for the Nintendo Challenger bus tour, with William and Richard Stott sharing their experience and near win. Picture of the month includes fan art like Star Seal 64 and a Yoshi illustration. The winners of the month's contests are awarded a copy of Turok, Dinosaur Hunter. This Club Mario page features reader suggestions and news. A reader proposes Star Fox Racers, a kart racing game set in the Star Fox universe, which the magazine considers a fun idea. Another reader, Ile Gabongo, criticizes the Rumble Pack, prompting a response defending its merits, particularly in Star Fox 64. Joseph Zakzuk expresses a preference for SNES Mario Kart, finding the N64 version too complex, leading to the magazine disagreeing, favoring the N64 version. The FAQ reveals that Goemon 5's UK release is unlikely. N64 FMV sequences use much memory, Wild Choppers is now Rumble Pack compatible, and a Lilac Wars, Star Fox 64 Rumble Pack version will be available. The name change from Star Fox to Lilac Wars in the UK is also explained. Finally, the page includes bizarre drawings like Gary Halliwell and Mario on the toilet, and a wedding picture of a seal and Gary. The letters page features complaints about the N64's fighting game selection, particularly the poor Mortal Kombat trilogy port. Optimism for upcoming titles like Dark Rift and Fist of the Flying Dragon is muted, with Tekken 3 on PlayStation being the preferred choice. Another letter discusses the 64DD, with fears of the N64 being abandoned, but the magazine clarifies the 64DD's intended role as an enhancement. Other segments include a Name That Game puzzle, the return of the C-Mail section with its cheeky seal character engaging in playful banter, and Seek and You Won't Find, with humorous fake cheat codes for Mario Kart 64. The page concludes with more Spice Girls-themed content, continuing the running jokes from previous issues. Mace. The Dark Age is being hyped as the N64's answer to the 3D beat-em-up void, especially after the disappointing Mortal Kombat trilogy. The game, already popular in American arcades, is a medieval-themed fighter developed by Midway, Mortal Kombat, NBA Jam. Its plot involves 7 warriors making a pact with a demon. The magazine highlights the game's potential, with comparisons to Killer Instinct Gold. Screenshots showcase diverse characters like Lord Deimos, Taria, with a large head, Koyatha, Mordos Kul, a Viking, a knight, and Xiao Long. The visuals emphasize special effects and varied environments, with hopes it will deliver a better experience than games like War Gods. Character Assassination introduces the 11 characters of Mace, the Dark Age. Dragon, tasked by Asmodeus, seeks the Mace of Tanis and his stolen soul, reportedly recorded by James Brown. Hamira, a dancer/princess, aims to eliminate Al-Rashid. Al-Rashid, an Aladdin lookalike, is a hired assassin searching for the mace. Ragnar Bloodaxe, a Viking prince, seeks revenge after his family's murder. The Executioner, a power-hungry torturer, has a notable "did you know" fact. Takeshi seeks the mace and his lost brother, Ichiro. Koyasha, a ninja, fights to prove herself, avoiding housework. Lord Deimos, an ancient ruler, desires the mace and wears an unusual outfit. Taria, a sorceress, aims to rule hell and surprisingly advertise the Wonderbra. Xiaolong, a blind monk, looks to humiliate opponents. Finally, Mordos Kul, a mercenary, seeks independence after family tragedies. The magazine deems his name the most stupid name ever. This page is all about Mace, the Dark Age, showcasing some of the fighting action. Right at the top, it's talking about how the arenas are designed, taking inspiration from Virtua Fighter 3 and Soul Edge. Apparently these arenas have height differences to give players an advantage, and danger zones with things like toxic water and rotating spikes. Sounds a bit cheeky, doesn't it? They reckon if you fall in you'll lose energy but not die instantly, which is kind of them. Then there's a section called Best of Both Worlds, comparing Mace to Soul Edge again, and PlayStation Favorite is mentioned, which is a bit of a dig maybe. They're saying it mixes weapon-based combat with hand-to-hand stuff, combos, and projectile attacks, drawing from Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. So, it's trying to be all things to all men, is it? The screenshots show off some of the characters we saw on the previous page, like Namira and Lord Deimos having a scrap. They also point out the fancy fire effect on the match-up screen, and the cool motion blur. Overall, it seems like they're trying to build up some hype for Mace, emphasizing the stage design and fighting mechanics, comparing it to all the big hitters of the time, to decent looking. Beat 'em up from the screenshots, let's see if it lives up to the hype. This page carries on with the Mace, the Dark Age preview. It kicks off, talking about how it's got these execution moves instead of fatalities, because apparently, Midway wouldn't release a beat 'em up without some gruesome finishes. They reckon there'll be loads of claret flying about, bodies getting impaled and exploding, the usual over-the-top stuff we were all a bit desensitized to back then, wasn't we? Then there's a bit about Mordos Kull and Koyasha having a scrap, and they're banging on about how good the graphics are for the arcade. It's alright, I suppose, for the time. There are more screenshots dotted about, showing fights in castle dungeons, and some character called Taria who's apparently slinky. Right then. They also mention this Z-trigger for dodging attacks, which is handy. Apparently the camera can be a bit awkward, but they've got this clever trick where if you walk behind something like a pot, it goes see-through so you can still see the fight. Bit of a workaround, but hey, it keeps the action going. So yeah, more hype for Mace, the Dark Age, pushing the gore and gameplay mechanics. Seems like they're trying to make it sound like the next big thing in fighting games. This article previews Timon and Pumbaa's Jungle games for the Super NES, a collection of minigames developed by THQ and set for release before the end of 1997. Based on Disney's The Lion King, the game features Timon and Pumbaa. The cartridge includes 4 games: Jungle Pinball, a pinball table with special features; Burper, a shoot-and-dodge game where players splat falling objects; and Hippo-Hop, a Frogger-like game where players cross a river using hippos and logs. Screenshots show standard pinball gameplay, a jungle scene for Burper, and the familiar Frogger concept for Hippo-Hop. The reviewer suggests it's a decent collection of games, particularly for fans of The Lion King. This page reviews Disney games on the Super Nintendo, starting with Timon and Pumbaa's Jungle games. This cartridge features a slingshot shooting game and a pinball table. The review then highlights other Disney SNES titles. The Magical Quest, Mickey Mouse, and The Jungle Book both scored 84%. Goof Troop and Aladdin earned 81%. The Lion King got 88%, and Toy Story was praised with a 92% score. Pinocchio received 80%, and Maui Mala scored 87%. The reviewer gives initial impressions of the Timon and Pumbaa game, saying the multi-game cartridge offers longevity, though possibly for younger players. They express concerns about the £39.99 price, considering the game's potential limited appeal. This page is all about FIFA 98 coming to the Game Boy, due out in October 97, running on a standard 2 meg cart. They reckon it's going to be pretty similar to older FIFA games on the Game Boy, not exactly high praise, is it? Apparently past Game Boy FIFA games weren't up to much, and this one isn't promising to be a massive leap forward. More of the same it sounds like, but maybe a bit more playable. They've got some screen grabs showing the team selection, game setup, and some in-game action. It's all very typical Game Boy football, pixelated pitch and dinky players. They mention it feels a bit faster than previous versions, and that there are tactics to help you score. The main new thing is the World Cup mode. Set in France 98 of course, you can pick a team and play through the groups and knockout stages to the final. First impressions are that it's alright, plays like you'd expect a Game Boy FIFA game too, maybe a touch quicker, but nothing groundbreaking. They say it's shaping up to be as good as any other Game Boy FIFA release so far, and will do the job for footy fans on the move. It's no ISS-64 on the N64, that's for sure, but for a handheld kickabout, it should be alright. They're planning a proper in-depth review in a couple of months, so we'll see then if it's any good. This page features several advertisements for gaming products from the late 90s. CA Games offers Nintendo 64s, PlayStations, and Sega Saturns, with mail order options. The official Nintendo 64 magazine also advertises for ad space. Future Games specializes in N64 consoles and games, including Japanese and US imports, with next-day delivery and trade-in options. Next Generation Consoles promotes us N64s and popular titles like GoldenEye and Star Fox, also offering accessories. Skill advertises us N64s, proclaiming them the fourth emergency service, and lists available games. Finally, Console Exchange allows console and game swaps, accepting various systems and offering mail-order services, though they're based in Inverness. This advertorial promotes the official Nintendo magazine's online presence in the mid-90s, highlighting its availability online at GameOnline.com. The site offered typical magazine sections like news, reviews and cheats, with a focus on the upcoming 64 games for the Christmas season. Previews included Pilot Wings 64, San Francisco Rush, Top Gear Rally, Lamborghini 64, and Dual Heroes. A Tips Rush section promised over 16 pages of N64 tips and a player's guide. The ad emphasizes the magazine's official status, urging readers to buy the UK's only official Nintendo mag, available on sale October 18th, and providing staff credits and subscription details. It's a nostalgic look at early internet marketing for a classic gaming magazine. Pum. Blast Corps, a quirky N64 game, is highlighted in this review. Developed by Rareware, known for unique games, Blast Corps promised destruction. The ad showcased a chaotic world of collapsing buildings and fiery explosions, with vehicles like the Backlash truck. The objective involved demolishing everything in your path using 15 vehicles, racing against the clock. The advert emphasizes the game's 3D environments and stereo sound, common for the time. Overall, the review suggests Blast Corps was an eye-catching, different title, perfect for players seeking an unconventional N64 experience. This page is a full-page advert for Star Fox 64, or Lilac Wars as we knew it back in the UK. It's shouting about a special edition launching on October 10th. Good old Nintendo, always with the dramatic taglines. Feel the adventure with Nintendo, it proclaims. The advert's got all the main lads front and center: Fox McCloud, Slippy Toad, Peppy Hare, and Falco Lombardi, the whole Star Fox team. They're plastered across a typical space battle scene, with R-Wings, and what look like Andross's goons kicking off. Down at the bottom it's banging on about the N64's technical prowess, 64-bit power, 94 MHz speed. Marketing buzzwords of the time, weren't they? It also mentions 3D environment, stereo sound, precision control, multiplayer, and the Rumble Pack being included. The Rumble Pack, a proper game changer back then. Feeling those explosions in your hands for the first time was quite something. It was all part of the N64 experience, making you feel like you were really in the game, even if it was all a bit blocky looking back. They were simpler times, but great fun nonetheless. This advert is clearly pushing Lilac Wars as the must-have title to show off what the N64 could do.